What is going on, y'all? This is Pay Me in Dividends, and today is January 13th, 2025. Now, as always, before we jump into the video, let's take a quick look at the portfolio. I am at $87,677, and my holdings have remained the same since the prior video. I still have 1,000 shares of AIPI, 1,000 shares of MSTY, 200 shares of RDTE, and 100 shares of MVDY. Now, today what I want to talk about is crypto income ETFs. I think this is important to mention because a lot of you out there are into crypto. You may be interested in crypto, or you may be invested into crypto already. And so this is a different way to invest in crypto while actually generating some monthly cash flow. So I have 6 different ETFs that I'm going to go over very quickly today. The last one being CEPI from Rex Shares. Now, as of today, they have not paid a dividend yet, not that I'm aware of, but I thought it was worth mentioning because Rex Shares is a really good ETF manager as of currently. And as you guys know, I do have 1,000 shares of AIPI from Rex Shares, so I thought it was worth mentioning, and we'll do a quick overview of how they actually invest and what their strategy is. So we're going to go from top to bottom here, and we're going to start off with BTCI from Neos. Now, first thing you'll notice is a 28% distribution rate, 28% yield, right? And it is paid on a monthly basis. Now, it does have a 0.98% expense ratio, which is something to keep in mind, but it does have this very high dividend yield, right? 28%, and it is paid monthly. Now, let's do a quick overview of how they actually make money. So, based off of their website, the fund seeks to distribute monthly income generated from writing options on Bitcoin futures ETFs. Now you're going to notice there's a pattern here. Each and every ETF here has a different strategy, has a unique strategy. Some may be similar to others, but they're all kind of different in their own way. So that's something to take into consideration. And I really just want to put these on your radar. You may be familiar with some of these. You may not be familiar with some of these. So it's something to put on your watch list and just keep in mind if this is something that you're into, right? So as we can see, it is actively managed by Neos. The fund seeks to offer upside potential via different efficient exposure to Bitcoin ETPs. The fund implements a data-driven call option strategy, saving investors the time and potential expenses of trading options themselves. And this is something that I've mentioned in other videos as well when it comes to covered called ETFs in general, right? You can actually do this yourself. You can buy 100 shares, which it takes 100 shares to perform a covered call on any given stock. But that usually takes a lot more capital, right? So it's easier in most cases to buy an ETF where the ETF manager actually performs the options on your behalf, extracts the premiums out of the options, and then pays you out a dividend from that premium. So this right here is a prime example of that type of strategy, right? So here we can see assets under management is around 49 million. This is a new ETF, right? The inception date is October of 2024. And so I can see this going up fairly quickly because Neos has some other big ETFs that we know of like SPY, QQQI, IWMI, right? And so I think this might be a good one to put on your watch list. Again, they have some other good funds as well. So I think it's pretty trusted at this point. So it's just something to keep an eye on. Now, the next thing I want to look at is the distributions, right? So let's see if we can look at the past distributions. So we'll go on 2024 calendar. So it looks like they've paid out about 3 distributions as of today, right? October, November, December, and the next one looks like it'll be paid on January 24th. So if we look at the payoffs, the payouts, the first one was $1.12, the following was $1.40, and the most recent in December was $1.45. So it kind of looks like it's trending up. There's not a huge variance here besides the first and second payment, but we'll see how consistent this is, right? Bitcoin is down a little bit today, and so we'll see if the premium paid out or the distribution for January that's paid out is maybe a bit lower than $1.45. But you guys let me know in the comments, what do you think they'll pay out for the month of January? Again, this is a very new fund, so we don't have much data to go off of. But again, Neos has some good ETFs, so I think it's worth putting on your watch list. So the next one I want to look at is YBTC, right, from Round Hill Investments. As you guys know, I do have shares of RDTE. They also have their other two very popular ETFs, XDTE and QDTE. And YBTC has been out for a little while now, right? And so as we can see, they pay about a 39% distribution rate as of today. And we can see at the overview here, the YBTC is the first US listed Bitcoin covered call ETF. The fund offers exposure to Bitcoin subject to a cap while providing the potential for current income. YBTC is an actively managed ETF. So if we scroll down here, we can see assets under management is around $94 million, which is higher than the Neos BTCI, but it is a bit older than BTCI, right? It came out in January of 2024. So we have a bit more data to go off of when looking at YBTC. The next thing I want to show you guys is the distributions, right? So they actually switched to weekly along with QDTE, RDTE, and XDTE. Initially, this was paid monthly, but now it is weekly. So that's also something to keep in mind if you're looking for those weekly distributions, right? So as we can see, we have all of this data here back from January of 2024, and we can see these payments, right? And so we can see that they've paid pretty consistently here, even while switching over to weekly payments. It does look like it dropped a bit on their most recent payment, but again, it's paying weekly now. It's no longer paying monthly, it's paying weekly. So that may be something to consider as well. You can get a check every week now from this ETF instead of having to wait once a month. These new ETFs have really kind of spoiled us, because traditionally most stocks in general, like blue chip companies, would pay out quarterly. Some of them would pay out biannually, or even sometimes they would pay out once a year. And then a lot of these have shifted over to monthly payments. And now over the past year or so, we've seen these funds paying on a weekly basis. There were a couple funds that are no longer around. I believe TGIF was a fund that used to pay weekly, and they've no longer been around for maybe a couple years now. But outside of that fund, and maybe one or two other ones that I'm not aware of, this is really kind of a new thing. So we are kind of spoiled, but hopefully this trend continues, because I do like weekly payments. That's one of the reasons why I picked up RDTE. So again, that's just something to take into consideration. And I think YBTC will be around for a while. It's already been out for over a year, and Round Hill has a lot of assets under management in general, so I can see it being around for a while. So you guys let me know in the comments, what do you think about YBTC? So the next one we're going to look at is YBIT from YieldMax. You guys are probably familiar with this if you like YieldMax ETFs. Now YBIT pays a 74% distribution rate. Mind you, I'm not invested into any of these ETFs. All I'm doing is I'm giving you the information and letting you make a decision for yourself whether or not you want to invest into these ETFs, or if you just want to put it on your watch list and see how they perform moving forward. So again, YBIT is paying a 74% distribution rate. If we go down here, we can see their previous payouts. Back in June of 2024, they paid $1.37 a share. Their most recent payout is 70 cents a share as of December. So as you can see, these payments have fluctuated. They've gone down, they've gone up, and down again. So you guys be the judge. Look at the information, take the data, and make the best decision you can based off of the data that is available to you, right? So this is YBIT, and we can see YBIT. The fund strategy will cap its potential gains if the shares of the Bitcoin ETPs to which the fund seeks to provide indirect exposure through the use of options increases in value, which may not be offset by income received by the fund. The fund may not be suitable for all investors. So that is something to take into consideration, right? So we're going to move on from YBIT. Again, they pay a 74% dividend yield. And we are going to go to BITO from ProShares. Now, I believe this is one of the older ones. It looks like this has been out since 2021. And BITO seeks results before fees and expenses that correspond to the performance of Bitcoin. BITO invests in Bitcoin futures and does not invest in Bitcoin. There is no guarantee the fund will closely track Bitcoin returns. So again, keep in mind, guys, this is not the same as investing directly into Bitcoin. They're just using Bitcoin as a metric basically to leverage their assets in order to generate income so that they can pay you out a monthly distribution. So this is not these are not ETFs. It's not like going on an exchange like Coinbase or something like that and buying Bitcoin directly. It's really just a proxy of Bitcoin and a way for them to generate income. So that's just something to keep in mind, right? As we can see, they do pay out monthly. As of today, they do have about a 58% dividend yield. And again, like I said, they pay out monthly. It's been around since October of 2021. And if we go down here to the distributions, we can see, let's see, if we click on 2023, we can see that in 2023, since February of 2023, they have paid out a dividend. And you can see this dividend has fluctuated, right? The payments have fluctuated. They have not been consistent, but they have paid every month, right? So if we go to 2024, same trend, right? They've paid out consistently, but it has fluctuated, based on Bitcoin's price movement, based off how much money they're able to extract on any given month through options. And so these type of ETFs are always going to fluctuate, but it may be something that you want in your portfolio just to give you some crypto-like exposure. So that is BITO. And the next one we're going to look at is Maxi from Simplify ETFs. Now, Maxi seeks capital gains and income by providing investors with exposure to Bitcoin while simultaneously generating income by selling short-dated put and or call spreads on a variety of equity and fixed income instruments, which may include indices, ETFs, or individual securities. Now, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to pretend like I know what I just read, but I'm reading it to you guys. Again, I'm putting it on your radar. And from there, you can do a bit more due diligence and determine whether or not this is a good investment for you. Again, I only invest in things that I completely understand. I'm not 100% in the loop with what's going on here, but I'm giving you guys the information. I'm giving you the data that is available to us as of today, and then I'll let you decide and make a decision on whether or not you would want to put your money into something like this. So if we scroll down here, we can see that it does pay monthly. It is yielding about 78% as of today. And they do have a lot of assets under management. Well, they have a decent amount. They have 58 million. Actually, not as high as I thought, but they do have $58 million in assets under management. And we can see the inception date is September of 2022. Now, looking at this inception date and the assets under management, I would have thought that it would have been a little higher, at least 100 million, but it's at 58 million. So that is something to consider, right? So we're going to look at the distributions. We can look at the past distributions here, right? We can go all the way to 2022, and we can see, so it looks like the first 3 payments fluctuated a lot, and then they were consistent with a 15-cent payment here for about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months here. And then it looks like they gave a big payout here. This must have been the payout because of the new year around the corner. They had to pay out the rest of their distributions. And then again from there, they've paid 15 cents a share. And then it looks like it went up to $1 a share, and it went up a bit more after that as well. I'm curious to see how much they're going to pay in January, because it looks like momentarily here they were trying to keep a consistent payment. And so let's see what they end up doing for 2025 as far as monthly distributions. So that one is Maxi from Simplify ETFs. And the last one I want to look at is CEPI, right? So CEPI has not had a distribution yet, but I think CEPI is probably the most interesting out of all of these. And the reason I say that is, again, because it's from Rec Shares, which they do have a couple good ETFs with FEPI, FEPI, and AIPI. And what I find most interesting about CEPI is they basically run the same strategy on CEPI that they do on AIPI and FEPI, right? They own stocks that are invested in crypto-related activities, and then they write covered calls, and then they get income from those options, right? And so this one is almost ran like any other covered call ETF that we see, and it's not necessarily just Bitcoin, right? So we can see their top holdings here are actually companies, right? We see Taiwan Semiconductor, we see Tesla, we see Visa, we see Nvidia, Micron, Robinhood, so on and so forth. So this one almost reminds me of a remix of FEPI or AIPI. Instead, they're more focused on companies that may, invest into Bitcoin in some way or another. And so, again, this one seems like it's very similar to FEPI and AIPI. So I am interested in seeing what the distributions are going to be, because the thing about FEPI and AIPI is their distributions have been very, very consistent, right? FEPI has paid a pretty consistent 25% yield since inception. I believe October 2023 is when FEPI came out, and AIPI came out around the middle of 2024 and has paid a very, very consistent 34% dividend yield. So assuming that they follow the same trend with CEPI, we may see a consistent payout here. I think the bigger question is, what is that dividend percentage going to be? Is it going to be more than AIPI? Is it going to be less than FEPI? Or is it going to be somewhere between the middle of both of them? So we will see here shortly. It looks like the first payment will be January 29th, and that will be announced on the 27th of January. So I'm really curious to see what CEPI is going to pay out. So this is why I thought it was worth mentioning. And so there you have it, guys. Those are 6 crypto ETFs. Let's go ahead and change this. 6 crypto ETFs that you can consider for your portfolio. Again, guys, I'm just trying to put this on your radar, and then you guys take this information and do your due diligence and figure out what is the best move for you and your money. So you guys let me know in the comments, what do you think about these ETFs? Are there any other crypto ETFs that you think I should cover that may be a bit more lucrative or maybe outperforming the ones that I just spoke about? You guys let me know in the comments. As always, I'm super grateful for you guys checking out my channel, and I will check y'all out in the next video.